Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and as usual my name is Julie Chisom Eze. I'm a licensed pharmacist.
Hey, it's me.
So if you know me, you know how I'm a big fan of always, using lip gloss, cause everything about us has to stay hydrated, including our lips too. So, and I'm using my lip gloss is actually from my friend Tola, and she's got this new collection, Lip Dazzle, that's the name. It's actually cool, and I'm a big fan of this variant. She's got like 2 or 3 more other variants, but this one is actually my favorite, and it's really cool. So let's leave lip gloss and get back to skincare. So for some people who have seen my shorts on skincare sins that we should be dropping in 2022, I don't know if everyone has seen it, but I actually dropped like a short talking about skincare sins that we should stop in 2022 while coming into 2023. Me for one, I've decided to talk about one of my skincare sins, and also I'll be talking about my skincare resolution. So let's start with my skincare resolution. So for 2023, I've actually decided that this year I'll be trying retinol. I'll be trying retinol, and I'll give retinol a shot again. Cause the last time I tried retinol, it didn't really go down too well. But I decided, you know what? It's 2023. Let's give retinol a shot again. And for my skincare sin, I'll be talking about. I'm about to confess. When I do my confession, I hope and I pray I do not go back to that sin again. So one of my skincare sins in 2022 has got to be the reapplication of sunscreen. I don't know if I am very sure I'm not the only one that actually partake in this sin. So when it comes to sunscreen reapplication, I know that I have like a very big F when it comes to sunscreen reapplication, and I've actually decided this 2023 I will no longer sin. I will do a lot of reapplication of my sunscreen because it's actually needed. The sun, the weather isn't I don't know. You actually need to reapply your sunscreen and all of that. So because I've decided to reapply my sunscreen so often, I've decided that today's topic will actually be on sunscreen. I'll be right back. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be talking about sunscreen. We'll be talking about what sunscreen is all about, what you use it for, what you should actually look out for when you're about to shop your next sunscreen. This we'll be talking about, and more basically how to apply your sunscreen, how many times you should be applying your sunscreen daily. Yes, I know for some people it's like, oh, if I apply my sunscreen just once, that covers it for the whole day. But no, it actually doesn't work like that. So today we'll talk about everything sunscreen fun. So sunscreens are actually they're actually topical agents that are worn on the skin to prevent things like sunburns, premature aging, wrinkles, and it also helps to prevent things like skin cancer and hyperpigmentation. Yes, that's like the most important of the most important reasons why you need to wear sunscreen. So there are 2 major types of sunscreens. You have your physical sunscreen and your chemical sunscreen. So whether it's a chemical sunscreen or a physical sunscreen, there are tips you actually have to look out for when you're shopping your next sunscreen, and these are my tips. Number 1, the most important, it has to be broad spectrum. When I mean broad spectrum, I mean it should give you protection against UVAs and UVBs. Your UVAs are known to cause aging, while your UVBs are known to cause sunburns. And one thing about your UVAs, aside the fact that it causes aging, they can actually penetrate through your windows. So this is why for some people, when we advise them, get a broad spectrum sunscreen, because your UVAs can always penetrate through your windows. That's number one. Number two, the SPF should be, how do I put it? The SPF should be high enough according to the recommended range. Yes, I know some people be like, SPF, what's SPF? So SPF is what you call your sun protection factor, and your sun protection factor is that value that shows the amount of protection your sunscreen can actually give you. And the recommended range for your that is actually required for any sunscreen to actually know that, okay, this sunscreen is giving me that protection, is from SPF 30 and above. So if you're wearing any sunscreen and the SPF is lesser than 30, I can tell you for a fact that you're wasting your money. It's not giving you the protection it should be giving you. Number three, your sunscreen has to be according to your budget. I like to hammer this because, hey, I don't know if it's only me, but anytime I'm wearing my sunscreen, especially now that I've said that, okay, my skincare scene I have to actually take my skincare scene very serious. I have to, up my reapplication game. The only thing in my head that I always hear is that, that song that's trending, Billionaire, and that is what I hear. So if you're
all I hear now that I've decided to always reapply my sunscreen.
So if you're going to be shopping for your next sunscreen, because your sunscreen should actually last for like 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks self. If your sunscreen should last for 3 weeks, you should be looking at yourself that I'm not doing something right, because it's something you're supposed to wear like maybe in a day. You should be reapplying your sunscreen like 3-4 times. It should be something that you should be able to afford. Like my own saying, I have a saying for whatever thing I get, whether sunscreen, whether skincare agent or whatever. If you can't afford it twice, you can't afford it. In essence, if I can't buy this thing more than once, I can't afford it. So whatever sunscreen you should be getting should be something you should be able to afford. If you can't afford it, please listen to me. I can give you so many options of sunscreen that you can afford, because I don't know, but I am not there yet, but I aspire to get there. But now that I'm not there yet, I'll actually cut my coat according to my material, not according to my size anymore. So these are the things you should look out for when you're getting your sunscreen. And also, your skin sensitivity should play a role, because I've heard people say, I use the sunscreen and it really affected my skin and all of that. Yes, there's sometimes that your sunscreen will obviously affect your skin, and I always tell people, if you wear your sunscreen and it's giving you this tingling sensation, or it's not just going down well with your skin, please discard and wash off. So this is why you actually need to know different types of sunscreens, and also the one that suits your skin. So before you get that sunscreen, I'll advise you run a patch test to actually make sure that this is going down well with your skin. So like I said before, there are two types of sunscreens: your chemical sunscreen and your physical sunscreen. How do you know your chemical sunscreen from your physical sunscreen? Voila. So for your chemical sunscreens, their method or mode of action is they work like sponges per se. They mop up the UV rays from the sun and then convert it into heat. Yes. So for people who always feel like, why is that when I wear my sunscreen, after a few minutes I'm sweaty? Yes, it's a chemical sunscreen, and that's its mode of action. It sponges up or soaks up the UV rays and then converts it into heat. That is the mode of action. And also for your chemical sunscreens, they do not always start working like immediately compared to your physical sunscreen. For your physical sunscreen, all it does, it just shields you from the whole UVAs and UVBs, and it starts working like immediately, compared to your chemical sunscreen that it begins to work 20 minutes after you have worn it. For your chemical sunscreens, how do you know your chemical sunscreens? The ingredients in your chemical sunscreens. You see ingredients like avobenzone, octisaccharate, things like that. That's how you actually know your chemical sunscreen. But for your physical sunscreen, you see ingredients like zinc oxide, titanium oxide. That's how you know that this is a physical sunscreen. Now, the major thing. Yes, it's important that everyone wears a sunscreen, but I do not always advise pregnant women to wear chemical sunscreens. I rather advise them to go for physical sunscreens, because for your chemical sunscreens, the ingredients actually absorb into the bloodstream and all of that. But for your physical sunscreen, you just stay on the skin and that, compared to your chemical sunscreen. So for your physical sunscreens, they've got a more thicker texture compared to your chemical sunscreens that are actually thin. They actually let you easily use other ingredients while you wear them, basically. So they do not leave white casts. Your chemical sunscreens do not leave white casts compared to your physical sunscreens. Don't forget, your physical sunscreens, they are thicker in texture, so there's bound to be white cast. So for your white cast, you have to properly massage it in so that it will reduce the whole white cast. I think with these few differences, I've been able to properly differentiate your chemical sunscreen from your physical sunscreen. So for people who have sensitive skin, I always advise them to go for the physical sunscreen instead of the chemical sunscreen. Yes, it's actually much more advisable, because you have sensitive skin. Some of the ingredients in the chemical sunscreen could actually cause flare-ups and all of that compared to the physical sunscreen. I know some people be like, but Julie, on some sunscreens, you see things like iron oxide and all of that. Yes, any sunscreen that you see on its body, you see tinted, it simply means it contains iron oxide. And the advantage of iron oxide when it's in a sunscreen, it's because it helps to prevent visible light from affecting the skin. Yes, so that's why sometimes you see some sunscreens, you see their prices, you're like, wow. These are some of the reasons why some sunscreens are like more pricier than others. But like I said, cut your coat according to your size. Just make sure that it's a broad spectrum sunscreen, the SPF value is really high, and it's economic. The main thing is you have to actually get a sunscreen that is within your price budget, so that you wouldn't be spending so much on just a sunscreen. And also, I hear there's some rumors. I was actually talking to someone the other day, and we were actually talking about how people are coming out to say Korean sunscreens aren't giving enough protection and all of that, compared to your maybe Australian branded sunscreens. And I was telling her for a fact that, look, I'm a big fan of Korean sunscreen. I'm a big fan of K beauty products. let's just be factual. But if for people to come out to say the K beauty sunscreens aren't doing what they're supposed to do because the Australian branded ones have like iron oxide, the Australian branded ones are actually resistant. They're actually water resistant. And take note, no sunscreen is waterproof or sweat proof. Please, anywhere you see that on any label or on any product, please discard, because no sunscreen is waterproof. Don't let anybody lie to you. Yes, they could be water resistant for maybe 40 minutes or 80 minutes. Yes, but not waterproof. No sunscreen is waterproof. Because if it's waterproof, I shouldn't be here worrying about always reapplying my sunscreen. She gets. So for me, I do not believe that the K beauty sunscreens aren't giving a lot of sun protection and all of that, but I just feel because in Australia they have like a higher amount of skincare cancers and all of that, their sunscreens are produced with most of their sunscreens are actually tinted. They have like iron oxide and all of that. So if they do that, they're doing that because in their region they've seen that they've got a higher number of people with skin cancers basically. So it doesn't mean that one sunscreen is less inferior to the other. I feel the Australians are doing their sunscreens or producing their sunscreen based on what they have seen in their country or in their region. Now, this is where a lot of people will be like, Julie, your own is too much. Because how do you apply your sunscreen? Some people will tell you, oh my god, I use the 2-finger rule. Some people will tell you, have glass, cool. But the 2-finger rule too applies, but it actually applies to the type of sunscreen you are using. What do I mean? So let's say, for example, this is the Aqua sunscreen. Yes, Aqua sunscreen. Beautiful sunscreen, by the way. So Aqua sunscreen, and then you can see the kind of nozzle it has, the type of mouth it has. It has a very tiny nozzle. And then some people will now tell me that with this nozzle, they are supposed to do 2-finger rule. No, now. It's a lie. You can't for a sunscreen with this kind of nozzle, I do not advise you do your 2-finger rule. This is my own opinion, and I do not know if you could actually check other people's opinion, but this is my own opinion. If you're going to be using a sunscreen with this type of nozzle, I do not advise you do your 2-finger rule. Your 2-finger rule do not stand in this with this kind of nozzle. Like this is the Ultra sunscreen. If it was for this kind of, nozzle, this kind of mouth, if you notice, this is wider than this. So whatever, if you're going to actually pump out a more a higher quantity of sunscreen with this nozzle, with this mouth compared to this one. So if you're using a sunscreen with this type of nozzle, I always advise you do your 4-finger rule. And your 4-finger rule is this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 fingers. But if you're using a sunscreen with this type of nozzle, you can easily do your 2-finger rule and it will apply. So when you do that, please, for your sunscreen, don't forget that you're applying your sunscreen to every exposed area. So my god, my sunscreen cannot waste to every exposed area. That's what you're doing. So if you apply your sunscreen to every exposed area, for someone like me, this is why I feel I'm a billionaire. That's why that song billionaire keeps entering my head, because I love to wear armless. This is me confessing. I love to wear armless because of the weather, and for people who have noticed, I kind of sweat a lot. So I try as much as possible to always wear something that would make me very comfortable. So I wear a lot of armless. So you can see, yeah, I'm wearing my sunscreen. So I wear a lot of armless. So for whatever part of my skin that is exposed, I wear sunscreen. So for people that are wondering why I have 2 sunscreens, yes, one is actually for my body and one is actually for my face. So yes, so for whatever part of your body that you're going to be exposing, you have to wear your sunscreen. And I hope with this short video, we're going to have like less sunscreen sins in the year 2023, because I have decided that reapplication will be my middle name for 2023. What skincare sin have you decided to drop now that we're in 2023? You can always buzz me, tell me in the comment section. Let's talk about it, because we're looking for ways to reduce our skincare sins while also making sure that whatever skincare product we'll be using in 2023 will look cool, look fly on us. Mwah. Thank you. Bye. Hey guys, thank you so much. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep commenting. Please turn on your notification bell if you actually want to keep seeing beautiful skincare content on this channel. And like I said, don't forget to reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours. Always try as much as possible to reapply your sunscreen, especially if you're always under the sun. But if you're not, every 4 hours isn't so bad. Thank you. Bye.